We're gonna start seated today. I like to sit up on something, so usually I use a bolster, but you could use a pillow or fold up a blanket, or you can even sit up on something a little more firm, like a block. And that just helps to bring the hips up above the knees. So if you have tight hips or back stuff going on, sitting flat on the floor, especially if you're cross-legged, can be uncomfortable. So if you can, sitting on the floor in some way. You could also do these first few things that we're doing seated. You could do them from a chair, so you could sit on a chair to start. All right, so we're gonna get started sitting up nice and tall. So imagining there's a string pulling up from the top of the head, growing super long all the way down from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. Your hands can rest on your legs in your lap. If you have a mudra you like, you can take that. And if it feels okay, we'll close the eyes here. And like always, we'll start by connecting in with our breath. So there's no need to change anything here. We're just noticing. And just seeing what it feels like as we inhale and exhale. Maybe you feel your breath on the tips of your nostrils, a little bit cooler as you inhale, and then warm as you exhale. Maybe you feel it mostly in the back of the throat or in the movement of the belly. So wherever you feel it most, bringing all of your attention to that point for the next few moments. Slowing down, letting our body and our minds know that we're entering a period of a slower pace and presence. Good. And then you can keep the eyes closed, or if you're ready, you can slowly flicker them open. From here, we're going to bring the hands, if they reach to the knees, if not, just on the thighs. And we're going to start moving the spine a little bit. So a seated cat-cow. So on an inhale, we're going to tilt the tailbone back, belly and chest forward. You can even lift your gaze. And then exhale, we're going to pull the back towards the back wall. You can look down. So we inhale, arch the back. Exhale, round. Inhale forward. Exhale, round. Keep moving. You can go on your own breath here. Just starting to warm up that back, working up some of the stiffness. Increasing the blood flow there, getting some movement in the spine. A little more. And then on your next inhale, come back through center to that neutral spine, so between those two extremes. And we'll keep dealing with the spine a little bit here. We'll inhale the right arm up and exhale over to the left. That left arm can be down for support. Both shoulders stay down away from the ears. So we're not doing this. We're keeping the shoulders down. And just starting really gentle here. So we don't need to be bending very far at all. Just feeling that nice opening through the right side of the body. Pulling the right shoulder back, chest is open. Going through the movements of the spine. Good, next inhale, we'll bring the right arm down, left arm up, and then exhale over to the right. And just keep coming back to your breath every time you notice the mind wandering. Come back to your breath. Good, next inhale, come back up. And we'll let the left hand come down. Good. We're gonna come into eagle arms. So we're gonna open up through the shoulders and the upper back here. So I'll give you 3 different versions. We'll start with the right arm under, so we're crossing. First step here is having the hands on the shoulders, and we'll pull the elbows up and away from the body. Next, maybe you can get the backs of the hands together. And then if you can, palms come together for step 3. Shoulders still away from the ears, and we're pulling the elbows away from the body and up. So really getting into the upper back here. And this can be pretty intense, so we want to stay at a point, like my teacher says, you only give 87% when you're in yoga, never 100. So we don't want to be on, the edge of like an excruciating feeling. We don't want to come into any pain. Obviously discomfort comes up when we're getting into tight muscles, and that's okay, but we want to be able to take full breaths wherever we are. Just listening to your body. Good, next exhale, we'll slowly unwind. Roll the shoulders back a couple times. Might be a lot of stuff coming up there, getting into the shoulders. We all kind of store our attention in different areas, but a lot of us have stuff going on in the shoulders. So if you find emotions come up like frustration or anger, it's a beautiful opportunity to just sit with that feeling. All right, other side, no judgment. Left arm under. First step is grabbing the shoulder. Second step, backs of the hands come together. And step 3, palms together. Wherever you are, shoulders are down. And we're pulling the elbows away from the body and up. So we might all feel this in a little bit different of places depending on where we're tightest. You might feel this coming up the neck, maybe through the traps, at the tops of the shoulders, maybe in the upper back. And wherever you feel it is where you need to feel it, because that's where you're tightest. So just stay with your breath. Whatever comes up, just let it be there. Don't need to label it. Don't need to judge it. Take a deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. Let it go. A couple more shoulder rolls, just because they feel good. Let's go forward a couple times. And back a few times. All right. If you're sitting on something, you can move that out of the way. If you're on a chair, we're going to come down to the mat now. Coming into a table. So bringing the hands out in front, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. If the wrists are a little bit, if they've got some pain or stiffness, it can be a little bit nice to bring the shoulders a bit further back from the wrist. So just taking a bit of the weight off the wrist. Toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels best. And we're going to come into our cat-cows again from this position. So inhaling, tailbone lifts, belly drops, chest and gaze up. And exhale, pull your belly button towards your spine, round and press away from the floor. So inhaling forward, you can roll your shoulders back. Exhaling, shoulders kind of pull forward. Keep going on your own breath. And just notice if these feel different, the same, than the ones we did seated. Maybe you're a little bit warmer. This position usually offers nice mobility in the spine that you don't get from a seat. Good, and then we'll come through center again, finding that neutral spine. So we're going to do a little balance strength here. Often when we have pain in an area, it could be due to some muscle weakness or imbalance. So it's important to not only stretch, but also strengthen. So a couple options here. We're going to inhale, lift the right leg up behind us. So if that's too much, you can keep the toes on the floor, just starting to balance. If not, lift it up. And then if you want more, coming in to the full posture with the left arm raised as well. So So we're really engaging the right glute, flexing the toes of the right foot down. Left arm floats in front, shoulder pulls back into its socket. Inhale here, and then exhale, knee to elbow. So inhaling, exhale. And if you're just balancing with the leg out, you can just stay exactly where you are. Strengthening through the back body here. And the core as we come forward. Just 2 more. And on your exhale, we'll just come right back down to our table. Good. Feel free to rock the hips a bit, maybe back into a child's pose. Whatever feels best in the body here. And then we'll meet back in a table. This time the left leg comes back. Maybe you're just balancing up on that toes, trying to even out the weight through both hands. And then maybe you're in the full posture with the right arm lifted. So opposite arm and leg. Trying to keep the hips level, so not letting that left hip pull up too high. Left glute is engaged and we're flexing the left toes down. Right shoulder pulls back into the socket. Inhale. And exhale, maybe elbow to knee, maybe you just balance. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good, 2 more. And on your next exhale, back to a table. Good, we'll come into a little stretch from here. So we're going to take that right foot back again, but cross it over the left. You can stay here if you want to deepen it, bring the right hand crossed over the left. So we're just opening through the right side of the body here. Deep breaths. And slowly back through center. This time left foot is going to come out and back, crossing over to the right side, and then stay here, or maybe left hand crosses over the right, opening up through the left side of the body. You might notice this is a bit of work for the glute of the bent knee. Good, next inhale, we'll come back. All right, coming into a little bit of a twist, we'll bring the right hand right underneath the nose, and we'll inhale, left arm up. So a nice upper back twist. If it's not comfortable to have the left arm up, you can bring it to the low back, to the waist, whatever feels good here. Sometimes it's nice to roll that left shoulder back and really look up to the ceiling. Trying to keep those hips level, so the only thing moving here is the upper body. 1 more breath. And exhale, back down, we'll switch. Left hand comes under the face, and inhale, open to the right. So I sometimes find trying to have my right arm up not super comfortable, so bringing it to the low back, roll the right shoulder down, and look towards the sky. Doesn't matter how far you're twisting, just finding a place where you can still take those deep breaths. Good, last inhale, and exhale back down. Good, let's just come back into a child's pose for a moment. So we'll keep the knees together to give the back a nice release. Resting the forehead either on your hands, maybe stack fists, put something under, or maybe it reaches the floor, and maybe the arms come back. A nice release through the low back here. Alright, we'll plant the hands under the shoulders and slowly press up. Spinning the legs over to one side, out in front, and then we'll come down onto our backs. Keeping the feet on the floor here, we're going to walk the heels in close enough that you can just tickle the backs of your heels. Tucking the shoulders underneath. We'll press through the heels and lift the hips up to the sky, coming into Setu Bandhasana, bridge pose. So pressing through the heels, hands can plant on the mat beside the body and press as well. We won't be here too long. A few deep breaths. On your next exhale, slowly duck down. We'll bring the knees into the chest and rock a little bit side to side. All right, so for these next two postures, our last two postures, we're going to make use of some sort of support. So maybe that's a block, maybe it's a pillow or a folded up blanket, doesn't matter. And for this first one, you're going to have to try it out and see if it works for you. So this may not feel good for everyone, and so if it doesn't work, just omit the block and you can use it in our next posture. We're going to bring it underneath the sacrum, so that's the flat part of the low back. So when it's in the right place, you should feel pretty stable, like you're not going to rock off of your support. And we're coming into wind relieving posture, so we're pulling the right knee into the chest, left leg can stay bent or lengthen out. So as the right leg pulls in, we're stretching through the right hip, and then we might feel an opening through the left hip flexor. So having that block under the low back can sometimes help us realign our SI joint. So when people have SI joint pain, sometimes it's a little bit of a misalignment of that joint, because that joint, it can just move a little bit, but it's obviously not supposed to move too much. So sometimes having the block here can help kind of just bring everything into alignment again. But for some people, this doesn't feel good. So if it works, go with it. If not, don't worry about having a support underneath. Just do the posture on the floor. Good, next exhale, slowly release the right knee and we'll pull the left knee in. Allowing the right leg to lengthen out, left knee pulls in. Just a few deep breaths. You can allow the eyes to close if that feels good. Coming into total relaxation, just a couple more postures and they're all going to be nice and gentle. Good, you can gently release the left leg, and I actually want to add in one more. So we're going to do two more postures. So we're moving the block for now. We're going to come into a spinal twist. So we're going to move the hips over to the right, and it might just feel best to let the knees fall over to the left. Maybe you support the knees by putting something underneath or between or both. If you want a deeper twist, left leg lengthens and the right leg pulls over, knee towards the floor. Maybe gaze comes to the right. So support yourself in whatever way you need to. You can put something under this right knee. You can put something behind your back. And on your next inhale, slowly up through center. Take your time to readjust the hips. Same thing, we'll shift the hips over to the left. An option is to just let the knees fall or to come into a deeper twist and lengthen the right leg. Pull the left knee over. Might get a little crack in the spine. And maybe gaze to the left. Don't shy away from support. If it feels good, put something underneath that left knee. This should be an opportunity to fully relax and release into the floor. Next inhale. Back through center. Adjust the hips. For our last posture, we're going to come into a supported bridge. So like we did before, heels close enough that you can touch the backs of them. And this time we're going to lift up the hips just enough that we can place that support under the sacrum again. So that flat part of the low back. And then we're just going to hang out here. So you can, if it feels good, you can bring the heels out, toes in, and let the knees fall in towards each other. That can be a nice way to totally release into gravity. Or you can keep the knees above the ankles. We're going to take 5 deep breaths here, letting the low back release. Last breath. Good. So for your final Shavasana, your resting pose, if you're feeling good here, feel free to just stay exactly where you are. If you want to come into traditional Shavasana, you can remove your support, lengthen out your legs and your arms, and come into corpse pose. So wherever you are, allowing the eyes to close if that feels okay. And we'll take a deep breath in together. Let it go through the mouth. 2 more like that. Inhale through the nose. Let it go. 1 more inhale. And sigh it out. Good. Releasing any control you have over your breath. Relax that space between the eyebrows. Relaxing the jaw. Letting the eyes feel heavy. Letting your entire body sink into the support of the ground underneath you. And just knowing that for these next few minutes, there's nothing left to do except rest. I encourage you to stay in your Shavasana for at least a few minutes. It's a wonderful opportunity to integrate, reset everything that we've done. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy. Namaste.